Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel off the Underside. How are we all doing? Tonight we've got another brilliant guest. It's another well-known face in Scottish football. He's played for St Mirren, he's played for Hibs, Kilmarnock amongst various others. Mr. Jason Naismith, how you doing, pal?
All good, Jamie.
Really appreciate you coming on, Jason. We know all about your career, mate. We're big fans of you, and we're really looking forward to getting into this, man.
Aye, you'll know be after this hour probably, mate.
All right, okay. Right. We'll see how it goes anyway, man. All right. On this channel, mate, we like to go back to the very start when you grew up in Paisley.
Yeah.
What's your earliest memories of playing football?
Probably just at the back, and with my older brother or his pals probably kicking shit at me, to be honest. It was probably a good grounding. I went to my first team when I think it was 4. My best pal Jordan, he was older than me. I just went along just in terms it was like a trial he was going for, and I ended up I was the first one picked, so it was good. Lancraig's Boys Club in Paisley, up at Glenaffer High School, and then for there, obviously, that was my first team when I was 4, and I just played an age up all the way through until I ended up at St Mirren. But I just let any boy basically just run about, just kicking stuff and kicking people. End up making a career with it.
How did it feel for obviously going for like boys, like smaller teams, to going in a professional type of academy? How did that feel? Was that like a scary aspect, or were you just too young and you were just buzzing to play?
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at the start. I knocked back St Mirren like 3 or 4 times. David Longwell at the time, who was so big in my career, he's now at Dundee. But he was a head of youth and he kept trying to sign me, and I loved playing with my mates, so I kept knocking them back. I remember actually one time about to go down to Love Street to sign. I just hated the seriousness of it. To be honest, I think it's actually got worse football in terms of that side of it. But I didn't like it. I loved playing with my mates. We were just like probably a bit mental. We got to tournaments. It was competitive football as well, which I liked. At the time, I don't think they still do. Pro Youth, they don't have a league, so we were like playing for points every week and cups and all the rest of it, and I enjoyed it. I remember being ready to go down to Love Street to sign, and my dad was a massive St Mirren fan as well, and he was up the stair just getting ready, and I was down in the living room in tears. I can't remember what age I was. I must have been about 9 or 10, but I was like, he came down and I was like, I felt as if I was letting him down, but I was like, I don't want to sign that with St Mirren. And he's like, what do you mean? I don't like it. I don't like the seriousness of it or whatever it was. I couldn't really remember at the time, but it was something along the lines. And I thought my dad would have been raging, but he wasn't. He was like, you don't need to sign in. But I thought as if I was letting him down because he was taking me to Love Street, and obviously he was a big fan. My family were all fans, and but that was the experience I had. And then eventually I went and I liked it. They were all good boys. It was I felt as if it was a wee bit more posh, and it was a wee bit cliquey and all the rest of it. Probably still the same, but it was brand new. Do you know what I mean? Like when it's all boys from about this area as well, isn't it? So it's just it was normal.
It's actually a boy that works with us. He played with you, I think, Anton Brady.
Aye.
He's one of my best mates, but he works with me and Jamie.
Right.
He was saying that you were a good boy.
He signed, obviously, he came kind of later on, didn't he, Anton?
I was saying your football skills are a wee bit.
Aye. He's better. I know that. He was a good player. Anton had bad injuries and that, didn't he? I played against him actually a couple of times in the juniors and all. He was at St Cadoc's. I'm sure I played against him. He was at another team and all. I can't remember. But we had so many good boys coming through at St Mirren. Like, it was amazing. Obviously, I think Anton came later on, right into full time and that. But even before that, the teams we had were brilliant, to be fair.
Can you remember who you looked up to when you were sort of getting into football? You know, was there any player that sort of stuck out for you?
Aye, Stephen McGarry. It was quite funny. It was awkward because I used to always ask for his haircut. I had like a bowl cut the 2000 season. Wait, did you, Robbie? You're young, no?
19, aye.
So you weren't even born probably. But But I used to always ask for Stephen McGarry. I spoke about this as well when I got into the first team, and I think I was in over the summer doing work at Ralston, and he was still playing at the time. He was at Perth Glory, and then he came in during the summer. We were meant to be off. I don't know why I was in. I don't know if I was injured or whatever. And he walked in the gym, and I'd done an article in the paper like 2 days before, and he was like, "Are you Jason?" And I was like, "All right, it's good to meet you." I felt pure awkward. I was like, my hero was Steve McGarry, but it was some player. Just because my dad took me a love sheet growing up, and that was a team at the time, wasn't it? They won the league, and they were a good team. I've met a few of them since. I met Ludovic Roy about 2 or 3 weeks ago at a business thing, and still, like, I was a wee bit like, it's weird because you meet obviously other people through football that are obviously bigger than Ludo, but it was like it takes you back to being a wee boy. My mum's cousin was Tommy Turner, so he got me in to Love Street at the time to meet them all. And it was funny. I got him, and I said to my missus, I was like, I'm sure I've got an autograph book for when I was that age. It was like 6 or 7, and then I went into my room, and sure enough, my mum, when she chucked out all my stuff, it was like in that. It was a wee autograph book. The first thing me was Ludo's, so I sent him it in LinkedIn. I had a wee laugh about it, but I just went off on a tangent there. I forgot what you asked me.
Sorry. Was there anybody, any of the older guys, obviously, as you went on a wee bit, was there any of the older guys that was maybe a wee bit tough in your eye, tough love at that point?
In terms of what, going into the first team?
Aye, sorry, aye.
Aye, man. I mean, it was mental. It was good, but because we had at St Mirren at the time, we had a lot of boys coming through, so it was all like pals. We were playing. It was me, McGinn, Kenny, Sean Kelly. Latterly, you had like Stevie Mallon, Thomas Riley our age as well. He was playing, so we're all running about the first team. St Mirren were basically based on trying to produce youth players. That was our full ethos, and it was brilliant. So it kind of helped in terms of when you get into the first team environment. But we had like Jim Goodwin, great guy, but like somebody didn't want to mess with. I think I ended up in a fight with Goody one time when I was like 18. But then you earn the like respect to the first team players as well. Like when you start standing up for yourself, not in a disrespectful way, but like obviously he'd elbowed me or something. Usual Goody, like on the pitch, he's a nasty guy, but I thought he wouldn't actually meet a nicer guy. But he'd like elbowed me or something, and then after that, I just absolutely smashed him and ended up rolling about and everything. I was only like 18, but I think after that, like first teamers respect you a lot more. And Goody actually he texted me that night and like apologised and all the rest of it. He was a brilliant guy. But there was definitely a few that were it was mental. Like back then, I feel as if it was so much different. Like I obviously deal with a lot of young boys now in terms of my stuff I've got going on, and I ask them stuff. I'm like, "Do you wind up the first team players?" Like we used to like drag. I remember we dragged our first team player in the porta cabin at Ralston. I think it was John Potter, and he was injured at the time. So he was injured, and we were all wee guys, but he was out like jogging after it, and he was shouting abuse at us and that, and we managed to grab him. So you can just imagine it was like 20 wee guys getting him in the porta cabin. We started battering them and all the rest of it, and pouring yogurt for early seed. That's the first team captain, by the way. I think that's the first team captain. And then Lee Mayer jumped in at the room and like started proper like trying to batter us and all the rest of it. And then after that, they're like, right, yous have overstepped to Martin that we're going to get yous back. And after that, I think there was a period about 3 weeks. The first team change room door was always open at Ralston, and then it was shut, and like they were looking out and all that. And every time you walked by for lunch, they were grabbing one of us in and battering us, like things like that. It was funny though. Do you know what I mean? Like no, I don't think young boys would do that kind of stuff.
No chance.
But they loved it. They loved it. Like they're probably thinking we dicks, but they liked like the kind of cheekiness of it, I think.
It's only a boy who pays late 18 who's taking on Jim Goodwin, but man, let's be honest.
I was going to say that if a brave man to take on Jim Goodwin, fair enough. Fair play to you.
No, it's listen. It's you need it, don't you? It's like I think it's in you. It's like one of the ones you're like, but we would have all done that really. I think that's the way. Davy Longwell was like, he was a like tough taskmaster. I hate saying that but it's an absolute tongue twister in it. But he was hard on us, but he made sure we could like handle ourselves in that as well. I think it was important. I watched Mikey's thing we use as well. The other night he was talking about duties and stuff. We used to do all sorts, man. Like it was mental, the stuff we used to have to do. But set you up well then for later in life as well.
How long after getting into the sort of youth team did you figure out, like, you know, you were maybe getting on to get into the first team?
Again, I say this to all my young lads, like the boys think it's dead smooth now, the transition of just 1 minute you're under 18s and then you're in the first team and you're going to make 50 appearances. It was just up and down. It was like dealing with setbacks. There was other people that would train in the first team that you thought, how's he training in the first team? I should be training in the first team. And reality is you're miles off it. And you would go up, now you'd be back down, now you would play a game or some minutes, now you'd be back down, then you become down to reality. I think it's how you deal with setbacks as well, which a lot of young boys now, I don't think, I think in Scotland it's a problem. I think there's a lot of ones where maybe their attitudes are different. And you need to deal with setbacks all the time. And it's just, I remember playing it can change so quickly. I played a reserve game and I was actually centre mid and I played really, really well. One of the games, you play well and you come off, and I think the physio after it was like, Tommy Craig was at the game, the assistant manager, really liked you. He says, I think he's going to have a word with you or whatever. I never spoke, and then the next day, it was just like, oh, you're training the first team today. And it was like, that was it, you were kind of then in. It wasn't long after that I made my debut and stuff.
Speaking of
there was a lot of like knockbacks and stuff.
Speaking of your debut, how do you remember that moment? Were you nervous or were you kind of confident?
I had a laugh at this. I actually take a young boy for St Mirren as well, and he was saying about training with the first team the other day, and one of the first teamers were moaning at him because he get rolled or something. And I says, well, it could be worse, mate. I got rolled in my debut in front of 10,000 on Sky Sports and cost a goal. And he just burst out laughing. I was like, you got away with training, so just learn for it. I cost a goal, Aberdeen. I came on at half time for Big Cheesy and I came on and Celtic jerseys. We drew one each, to be fair, so it wasn't that bad. But I just remember thinking, I better not arse it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I thought you kind of, it's in your head, you're like, oh, it's my big chance. Like, you work all the years for it and then just a bit of inexperience, really. It happened to me another 300 times probably in my career. No, ended up in goals, but just that particular time, Scott Vernon rolled me. I'm obviously used to getting tight with people and all that in my league and being the bigger guy, and I just get flung about like
You had a couple of loan spells, mate, at Greenock Morton and Cowdenbeath. How did you enjoy those times?
I didn't. It was hard. I get booed my Morton debut. I think I was the first ever player to go on loan for St Mirren to Morton. I still love
that takes balls, man. No, I mean, squaring up to Jim Goodwin and got him on.
I like going against the grain, but no, I enjoyed it in terms of experience and like finding out I'm miles off it. Like, I played with St Mirren twice, thought I'd made it, and then I went out on loan to Morton, and I was miles off it. Like, Mark McLaughlin was there, Kevin Rutkiewicz, Peter McDonald. It was all older pros. They were amazing with me, like absolutely amazing with me. It's one thing I'll never kind of forget as well. You learn good habits for the guys as well. But at the time, I wasn't really playing. I was playing a few games here and there. I thought I was talented, but I wasn't ready. And then I went to Cowdenbeath, and I was thinking, "Oh my God, what is this?" But it was like a reality call. No disrespect to Cowdenbeath or anything like that, but it wasn't what I'd signed up for to be a football player. Do you know what I mean? And I was thinking to myself, I don't want this, and it worked out in a good way for me because I went back to St Mirren. Boys at St Mirren are spoiled. I mean, they've got a training ground and all the rest of it. Like, when you're there, you're in the bubble, you don't realise. See, when you go outside it, and it was brilliant for me in terms of that alone. I never really kicked a ball. I played a few games, but I never played. I wasn't a regular at both clubs. What it gave me going back in the summer was, right, I need to get my finger out here. Like, what a chance I've got. It made me like grateful. And then I went back and I got fit as I could that summer. and then obviously it stood me in good stead.
As you
But
mentioned,
then-
we did speak to Mikey Devlin all night, and he was saying when he went on loan, he was still confident of getting back in. You know, the Hamilton team, that were you confident even when you were down there? Obviously, it didn't quite work out for you, but were you still confident when you went back to St Mirren that you could get in there?
No, I wasn't. No, I remember waiting to see if I was going to get a contract. I get kept on, and I'd always been like I thought well thought of and stuff through the youth academy. Obviously, I played with like Scotland and all that all the way through. But it was like a bad season for me. Do you know what I mean? It was like a bad season. I'd went on loan. I'd failed twice, basically, at like lesser clubs. Let's be honest, lower level. I think, how am I going to cut it? But what boys don't understand as well is that level's sometimes harder. Do you know what I mean? It's harder to impress as well. It's a tough. There's good players, and I was like, I felt a bit kind of imposter syndrome in terms of Danny Lennon gave me another year. It was on the money was shocking. I was basically a first team player then. I wasn't a youth player. I was a first team player. Money was terrible. I wasn't asked about the money. I just wanted the opportunity. Again, I think lads now they'll see money in the game and they'll be like, "What, man, I'm on 150 quid a week or something." I wasn't even on that. Do you know what I mean? I just seen like I've got an opportunity. I want to be a fitter player. I've worked 18 years of my life for this. Like, am I going to moan about being on X amount a week? It was just an opportunity because St Mirren could have been me, no bother, and I wouldn't have had the career I had. But they obviously seen something in me to give me a chance. I think it was a year contract I got, and I remember going back. My mum, and my dad were going away on holiday up north, just a caravan, and it was like, I got a year, right? And then it was time. For there, I was next day running every day, practicing, all the rest of it, and then I just came back flying.
As well, you would have been transitioning back into the team probably at a time where we just won the League Cup as well. So I can imagine that was probably difficult as well. You know, that was at a time where I think some of them were maybe known as, you know, gone on the upwards, and we had some really good players in that team. So was that ever playing in the back of your mind that, you know, you're stepping into a team full of people that have just went and won the League Cup?
Aye, a wee bit, but it encouraged me as well because I was like, right, I want a bit of that. I was at the game. I was like, right, I was on one at Cow and Beef, and I'm looking at McGinn. Like McGinn was my mate, obviously going all the way through, and he won the cup. So it was a perfect kind of example, isn't it? You should always look up to like people like that are above you at that time. So, aye, there was that, but I just came back with a kind of single-mindedness to think, right, I want this, and the running, I was one of the best, like all the rest, I was one of the fittest there. And then slowly but surely you start to actually become part of the thoughts. Do you know what I mean? But I said it was just a good opportunity, wasn't it? Because they won the cup and I seen it and I was like, right, I want about that. It was good.
You mentioned John McGinn there. Did you see at that point that he was going to go on and have the career he's had, you know, Premier League star?
No. I think he just kicked on majorly, especially when he went to Hibs. I think he got a lot like fitter as well when he went to Hibs. But he was a top player, of course he was. And again, just attitude. The best thing about John is like his mentality. Like he would always try stuff, and he wouldn't really care about anybody else. Though he just had that single-mindedness, and he just like he would try stuff and try stuff. He tried stupid stuff at times, but then something would come off, and it would always be the one that people remembered. Do you know what I mean? The one that he set up a goal or scored a goal, and he just had an unbelievable attitude, and like his like humility is still the same to this day. He's still like a top guy, so that's what it gets him that far, really.
Throughout your years in St Mirren, there was also a few highs and a few lows. But what did that teach you about the resiliency and the realities of Scottish football?
Just you get a load of punches in the face, don't you? I said that the other night. I've said it before. Stevie Thompson said it to me after my first cruciate injury. Or maybe even before that, but he said, just don't get high, don't get too high, don't get too low when you're playing football. He says about a lot, and he says enjoy the good times as well. He says because there'll be a lot of like punches in the face. And it was the best advice I ever had then, probably. You can think like disaster, or you can think like too much, and that's probably we've even spoke about that. I know, like already. I made my debut. I thought I made it. and then like you get like on loan to Cowdenbeath and you're on the bench against Airdrie in February. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's the two kind of ends of the spectrum. You just need to kind of stay focused and just kind of level-headed.
Obviously, you were there a good number of years, mate. You ended up moving on to Ross County. I mean, it's a bit of a wee trek from Paisley up to Ross County. What I want to ask about that, first of all, was did you stay up there or did you travel back and forth?
No, I stayed. It's two like that. It's 3 years, isn't it? Well, 4 years to Dingwall. Aye, that's
How
why
did you move about, mate?
I didn't, to be honest, I didn't want to go. We were in a difficult position with St Mirren at the time. I'd just been back from my cruise ship. I wasn't really anywhere near where I'd been. I was starting to get back to where I'd been in terms of levels. And it was a bit of a surprise, I think. I think Jim McIntyre and Billy Dodds had always liked me. And they kind of took a gamble on us. I was coming back for a cruise ship and it was like the October time. And they were like, we want to sign you a pre-contract. And at first I was like, nah, no chance. I want to stay at St Mirren. And then it was a bad situation at the club at the time. Jack Ross came in, loved Jack Ross, loved working with him. Then it turned into a kind of best decision for the club kind of thing as well. I think I was the highest earner at the time. We were struggling for money. And it got to a point, Ross County were giving me money, and I was like, I'm gone there. Like, they were in the Premier League. I think they just won the League Cup as well, actually. So they were in the Premier League. It was a good setup. And I just thought, change of scenery. Time for a change of scenery. Stop going out Juicy Tuesdays with McGinn. I found a drink and ended up going out there when I was up in Ross County. But they ended up, they got money from me. In the January, and it was like Jack Ross put me in. He's like, listen, they're going to offer, because I was honest with him, he was honest with me, the full kind of thing. I remember going in to knock his door and I was like, listen, I'm going to sign a pre-contract, I'm just letting you know. And then he got back to me like a day later and he's like, I'm going to sell you because and money. So it worked out well because I think they sold us in the January for whatever it was like 40 grand or something, but it was still getting money. They got me off the wage bill. They sold Kyle McAllister for like $250,000 to Derby, and through the two players leaving, they brought in like 10 players or whatever it was, and St Mirren ended up staying up because the squad needed a total overhaul. So it worked out well. Like, I was watching from afar, but I was still like shite myself because obviously it's my hometown team and all, but they stayed up, so it was good. And then I went to Ross County and absolutely loved it.
What was it that made Jack Ross such a good coach?
Jack Ross, just his honesty. Yeah. And like, again, remember him saying something, I don't know if it was, I had him at Hibs as well, but I don't know if it was Hibs or St Mirren. I think it must have been St Mirren, but it was just something that stuck with me. He says, I'm not going to like shout abuse at you for the side of the park. He's like, I remember what it's like to be a player. You don't try and make a bad decision on the pitch. Like, nobody tries and makes a bad decision. Nobody wants to play a bad pass. He says, what you've seen at that time is what you thought was the right decision. He says, it doesn't matter, like, in terms of frustration for the crowd, they all see something different. It doesn't matter, you can sit somewhere else in the stadium, you're going to see something different, but the only one that matters is you and the ball. He says, so just work your socks off, all the basics. And he was just honest with you. He was brilliant. If you played bad, he would just come up to you and tell you, in the same manner that if you played good, he would come up and tell you. And I just loved having him. And he was a top coach as well. His training and everything was amazing.
After a year at Ross County, you made the jump to England to go into Peterborough. From your perspective,
Peterborough.
What did I say? Peterborough?
Peterborough.
I've said that about 3 times a day. I've been reading that. I'm saying that wrong. In your perspective, what's the biggest differences between Scottish and English football?
Physicality. Like, physicality is mental. They can run faster for longer than they're like just machines. And they go in the gym. They don't need to be asked to go in the gym. They go in the gym. Like, players are better pros. You know what I mean? Up here, they'll put sessions on and that, and players are like, oh, fuck's sake, no go in and blah, blah, blah. They are players that are in the gym before training doing stuff. They're in the gym after training doing stuff. And then just the volume of games, obviously, just the physicality. The physicality is mental. Especially in like League One. It's like mental in terms of it was just a big wake up call. I feel as if Scottish Premiership players are better quality in terms of the ball and stuff, but playing against what you play against down there is difficult. But then at Ross County, we had a brilliant change room. We had boys we were a physical team. Do you know what I mean? So I was kind of half used to that. We had boys that played down in England, and it was all men. When I was at St Mirren, obviously it was like younger. Like I explained earlier, when I went to Ross County, I didn't know anybody. Like I didn't know one player. It was weird. It was going into a new environment, obviously, and it was all like older guys. They were like, I was certain they were like trying to bully me at the start. It was like sink or swim, but they were like one of the best times of my life. Like the lads were so good, and then that sets you up well. That actually first time staying away from home, obviously, and then having that to deal with and all. Like the boys were just like so tight grouped because everybody's in the same boat there. It's all Glasgow boys. It's all like Scousers and that were there. You're all going up to stay in Inverness, which is a like lovely place. But there's nothing else to do apart from hang about with the boys. So we'd go for a coffee every day together. We'd do stuff. We'd go for something to eat together. We'd go to each other's house to play FIFA together. Do you know what I mean? So it was so tight grouped. But it set me up well in terms of then going down to England as well and making that move.
So it's obviously, as you say, Jason, it's more professional down in Peterborough and that, but like, is there no that kind of same camaraderie then as there is up here? Or?
Right, we had a brilliant change room at Peterborough, man. Like the best. I remember I seen Cummins on Open Goal talk about it, but it was so good, man. We had Steve Evans obviously as well. Have you seen that? Have you seen Cummins, man, in Open Goal? No, he was talking about
that's good, wasn't it, man? That was good.
like, so Steve Evans signed us, but there's a load of Scottish boys as well. But all the English lads were amazing as well. It was just so funny, so funny. Like I could honestly, I had Steve Evans for 6 months, and I could write a book honestly on that 6 months. It was so funny, and just the lads were so funny. And again, I struggled big time, man. I get homesick. I'm a pure homebird, and I regret that massively. I wish I kept myself busy in that. I was just going home, and I just ended up like pure recluse, man. It's not like me. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. I don't know. It was nothing to do with that. When I was with the boys, I was brand new. But probably think about it now. Like gone for the thing we had at Ross County, nobody really done that at Peterborough. I think Jay struggled and all. Like 2 years we'd hang about together. Then he left to go to Luton or something, and we'd like meet up in London and all that. But it wasn't obviously as frequent. Do you know what I mean? But the boys were brilliant. The boys were so good, man. The camaraderie was up there. It was almost better. I watched Millwall Charlton the other day, and it minded me. And we scored a last minute winner at Charlton, and there was like a massive brawl in the tunnel. It's a dead narrow tunnel at Charlton, and it was like every single player on the pitch and on the bench was fighting, all the staff. And there was like a police escort for us in the change room for ages. And we were just after every game we played, we'd play Park Life for Blur. Is it Blur?
Aye.
And the door was opened, and we were just like flinging about pizzas and we used to have cans of Iron Brew after the game because it was all Scottish lads. And like the Charlton players were still there raging that, and we were like jumping about being at them. It's so funny because we were terrible. See, we were such a bad football team, but we kept winning. I think we still hold the record for like the best opening like League One team. We won like the first 8 games, and we were all just through sheer like teamwork there. 4-4-2, and we strived off other teams going, oh, they're shite, because if they tries to play football now, we were just like 4-4-2, get the ball wide, like get in the box, and we were blowing teams away. But no, it was brilliant.
Steve Evans, what a character, man. Have you seen him lately?
Who's that?
Steve Evans.
Aye, he lost loads of weight, didn't he?
Aye, mate, he's pure flat, isn't he?
Aye.
The Manjaro.
Definitely. Aye. When he was exercise bike, that he's talking shite, definitely. Fair play to him. Fair play to him,
definitely.
He was so funny, man, honestly. Some of the stories you could tell about him were like mental and hilarious. Jace touched on a few of them, but like so funny.
Yeah. Was it still that chairman? That is it? Dara, his name is?
Aye.
What was he like, mate?
All right, he never took into do with the team. I think people think he's more. I don't know what happens in terms of picking squads and stuff, but he was all right. He was kind of standoffish. Never really he would be there and that. Like, but I've been at clubs where that's the case. He was just dead outspoken on Twitter and that. And if you had a bad game, you were like, "Oh no, am I going to get it off the chairman here?" But he never really said anything on Twitter about me. They always treated me well. It was just, as I said, it was a mental time, but it was really enjoyable.
He goes on Talk Sport that with Jim White and that as well, man. He's very outspoken. It's good to see.
I fair play to him. He's got an opinion into it, and that's like when I was there and that, I was thinking he's a bit of a knob, but after it, I'm like, fair play to him. Like, it's his club, he runs it. As I said, he was good with me. He was good with me. The club were good with me, so I couldn't really say a bad word about him.
I was just thinking, we've been speaking for half an hour and there's already been 2 scraps. Jim Goodwin and a full Charlton squad.
There was loads of scraps. I used to love a scrap, man.
With Park Life in the background.
We work with a boy for Paisley, man. Every Christmas night out, he's up to something, isn't he, Corrie?
Yeah, definitely. Aye. It's in the blood up there, I think.
There's a few times I thought Steve Evans was going to batter me as well. So, it's so funny, honestly. We played Luton away, and we were getting beat like 4-0. I had a guy sent off, Big Taff gets sent off, and he gets sent off, and I'm sure Steve Evans. So he's sitting up the stand at Luton, right? But the dugouts are the other side, so he had to walk round the other end of the stadium. Either that, he couldn't be asked walking to the dugout, whatever it was. He was sitting in the stand, right? Probably the latter. And I was like running back for a corner, and I wasn't running like fast enough. So obviously the dugout's the other side, and all I could hear was him in the Luton end. Fucking easy. And I was like, oh no, it was right before half time, and also it was like obviously the last thing that he remembered for that half. And the whistle went, and I went, I'm going to get this here. And I went in, and I just seen him come in, man. He was like looking for me. And he just started just shouting in my face, like, I mean, for here to like my laptop away, like slavering on me and everything. Oh my God, don't eat me here. But it was good. It was good. Big Steve, man.
You ended up going to Hibs on loan. Was that due to your homesickness? A wee bit? Were you?
A wee bit, aye. A wee bit. I fell out with Darren Ferguson pre-season. So I fell out with the manager, and then I hadn't started. I wasn't going to start the season anyway. That's why I fell out with him. I fell out with him, and it was actually Aberdeen with Dale. Aberdeen were trying to sign me for like, felt like forever, my full career. And it was funny, I ended up working under McInnes at the end, and I was knackered, so I was near used to him. But I think I done something that like I fell out with Ferguson. It was one of the biggest regrets I had in my career. Like in terms of the day I kind of sacked off training once because they knocked back Aberdeen again, and I was like, want to go home and all the rest of it. And then I went in and I told Ferguson my thoughts and stuff, and then Hibs came in. Obviously, it was like transfer deadline day as well. I had to rush to St George's Park to do a medical because Nathan, the physio, was the England under 21 physio as well. So I was like, St George's Park's in the middle of nowhere in England. It's like Burton or something. And I was like rallying through Peterborough trying to get there in time just to basically do my medical to sign in time. If not, I'd have been stuck at Peterborough for 6 months.
Was that the first time you'd ever kind of properly fell out with a manager, aye?
No. Aye, it was. Aye, it was. It was. I didn't really go on with a few, but it was the first. I'm trying to think. I've had a few, aye, but like that was the worst. Definitely, that was the worst. But he again, he was brilliant. He was brilliant with me. I can't say. I thought he actually apologised at the time for how he was with me. I think I deserved to be treated better. I think my initial point, I was right, and then I was too stubborn, and But we just, as I said, I went all away, and that was it. But I went back to Peterborough, and he was brilliant with me. He actually helped me get to Hibs as well, because Ross County were back in for me, and he was like, "What's your thoughts?" And because Ross County were actually offering more money towards my wages because it was a loan, and I was like, I don't know, like, it's obviously up to the club, innit? He says, go to Hibs. He says, Hibs are a better club. They're a bigger club. They'll be good for you. And I was like, but they're not offering as much money to my wage. Like, the chairman will know. And he says, I'll speak to the chairman, I'll sort it. So he sorted, basically, because even though Hibs were offering less money, that for me to get the opportunity then to go to Hibs. So, to be honest, like, I've no issue with him. I just had that issue at that time, and then just disagreed, and it was time to move on.
Was it a relief to come back up the road then, aye?
Was that, sorry?
Was it a relief just to get back up the road and play your football here?
Aye. I loved it. I loved the full feeling, like signing with Hibs and stuff, and coming home, stayed back in Paisley, and just, it was just a brilliant opportunity. Obviously, absolutely loved my time at Hibs, and then obviously it just ended kind of wrong with me by getting another cruciate injury. But I was flying as well. I was doing really well at the time, which was a kind of kicking the balls at the time. But that's football.
Were you glad that you at least went down to England and experienced that before, sort of playing back in Scotland?
Aye, I loved it. I played, like, that's the thing. My season that I played 50 games. So it wasn't as if I wasn't like playing and anything like that. I struggled at the start of the season, and then I done really well at the end. Like, came on to a really good game, and that was my gripe. Obviously, the season after, I came back even fitter than I'd ever done before. And I just thought to myself, he's not going to pick me here. Like, I knew how meticulous Darren Ferguson was with his teams, and I went and seen him, and I was like, how am I not going to play on Saturday? Because it was the first league game. And he's like, you might play in that. And I says, I'm not going to play. I'm not daft. Like, just be honest with me. I know I'm not playing. I was like, I've seen the full thing, full pre-season, all the rest of it. I know I'm not playing. And he went, you're not, and blah, blah, blah. And, but they couldn't give me a reason why. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't playing, because I was like, I was your best defender for your last season, and I was like, just give me a reason, give me something. And he couldn't, and I was getting angrier and angrier, and ended up 2 when nearly fighting. Yeah, it was funny actually. I slammed the door and it nearly kind of broke, and I thought, can I shat myself right away? I was like, oh no, I gotta get back to the change room. And then Gavin Stratton, is it Celtic now? He was assistant there. He came in and he was like, Gaffer wants to see you, mate. And I was like, I thought so. And then he was like, to be fair, Dan Ferguson was like laughing. They went, you calmed down yet? And I says, aye. So then we spoke again. And again, it just started rising again. I was like, there's no point in speaking. So that was like, we went again. But I loved it. I loved the different experience. Sunderland won the league and all that. Sunderland, Barnsley, Portsmouth. So playing at all the places was like dynamite compared to the usual. Do you know what I mean? You play, obviously it's a total privilege as well to play football, but you were doing the same stadiums in Scotland constantly, 3 times a season. Whereas there, you just played once. You played at Fratton Park, and then Portsmouth came to you, or you played at Sunderland, and then vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
Not to dwell on too much, but like the Ferguson thing is probably like a case of, it's probably not helped the fact you've had to go to him. You know what I mean? Whenever you talk to football players and that, the one thing that they really appreciate is honesty, and the fact they never tell you and you had to go to him and all that probably made it 10 times worse.
To be fair, I apologise, because I was saying that something like I deserve more respect in terms of what I've done for you and blah blah blah, and he agreed. I apologise. So it wasn't really, as I say, there was nothing personal. There was nothing personal. It was just football. That was it.
You've touched upon it a wee bit with your injuries, which unfortunately have been a part of your career. What was your toughest injury, and how did you manage the mental side of it?
Just both ACLs. I think it was the timing more than anything, the actual injury. First one, I was at St Mirren. I just won Player of the Year. I know we get relegated, but I personally had a good season. And I was kind of feeling good physically and all the rest of it, really good. John had left, got to Hibs. I think a few of my other mates had left St Mirren. And I thought then, like, I think at the time I was going to go down south at the time. There was like a couple of moves on the cards for me. And then that happened, obviously. So it was like, wow, it was like end of the world stuff. But then came back and obviously still battled through that, which was good because not a lot of people come back for like what I'd done. I'd ruptured my ACL and done other stuff with my knee. Basically, it was like a car crash, man. It was horrible. But I came back, which was good, the mental side of it. And then it was obviously the Hibs one. The Hibs one was like a major blow, because it was the first time I'd felt as if I was a football player, like in terms of playing for a club that size. As I said, I was playing really well at the time, like really flying. And then obviously it happened, and it was like, wow. And then the timing again, it was COVID, wasn't it? So it was right before COVID. So it wasn't even a case of, it was just the uncertainty of like clubs not being able to take you. I was going back to Peterborough where I knew I wasn't really wanted. And you're just quickly forgotten about then in football, really, aren't you? But it was obviously the second one because it was the other knee as well. I'd managed to get by it. I kind of changed my running style with my first knee. But when the second one went, I kind of knew, I was like, right, this is going to be a matter of time now. You're not going to have, you can get back for this, but you're not going to have long left, kind of thing. So I think I started to come to terms with then, even though I was like 27, that I wasn't going to have too long left. But again, I managed to come back, and I actually played with Peterborough again. I played like in a few of the cup games and stuff, and managed to play with again some good players that went on to have unbelievable careers and all. Played there and then moved on again.
I moved on to Ross County, mate, again. I went back up to Dingwall.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious decision to go back there?
It was just like, I'd spent the first 6 months again at the season at Peterborough because I wasn't fit, basically. I'd done my cruise ship in the February time or January time with Hibs, first Scottish Cup game. And then spent 6 months at Peterborough. But it was me and George Boyd. Don't know if you remember George Boyd that played with Scotland as well. Fittest guy ever. So we were left out. It was like a squad thing at the time, League One and League Two and Championship. I think had done like they had to be within a certain wage cap. And you were told at the start of the season, obviously you're injured now, so you're not going to be in it. And Boydie was older, so he got left out as well. So we couldn't play Saturdays. We couldn't even be in the squads. So it was just us, like doing running, like box to boxes. And then again, Darren Ferguson was brilliant with me. My missus was down. I had the Doug down with me, my big German Shepherd, and he would just give us a weekend off. So we just like go places, and I'd go up the road and stuff like that. But I was really fit, and I was just raring to go then. I had the bit between the teeth. I was like, right, I'm going to prove every rang that I can't get back again. And then Ross County, obviously, were coming in for me. Roy's get money into it. So Roy McGregor's get money. No other team were signing people. I don't know if you remember COVID, but it was mad, wasn't it? Like, no team was taking any players on, not even like buying players, but they weren't even taking them on their books. So I gave me the opportunity again and then went there.
How was it during the COVID time? Was it
mental?
strange? Was it strange?
We had big Yogi, didn't we? So he was amazing. He is a legend. He was one of my favourite managers, definitely. Like an absolute legend. Still text randomly now, like just like so good. We used to. He would always talk to me. He would talk to me quite often. We got on well. And how we stayed up that year, I have no clue because we were so bad. Our team was terrible, like terrible. I went in the January and we were like 6 points adrift. But I thought I was looking for the outside in, thinking, "We're decent at." I'm sure we sold Ross Stewart right away to like Southampton or Sunderland, wherever he went. I can't remember what one it was. Did he go to South? Where did he go again?
Sunderland first, wasn't it? Or was it Southampton?
Sunderland maybe. Whatever. They sold him. And right away you're like, oh no, I've been sold to the river here, man. Like, but we managed to stay up. But Yogi was so funny. Like, whenever a manager wants to see you at a club, very rarely will come up and say, right, I want to see you, come and see me. Somebody else will come and see you. Like, so it was like a sports scientist or whatever would come up to me. He's like, Nazy, Gaffer wants to see you. So I'd be like, all right, went up the stair and went in the office at Ross County, and he was lying in a pair of slips, like Y fronts. But he wasn't on the manager's seat, he was in like the sofa that's what the player would sit in, and he was lying down like on his side like this. And he's like, right, I think So I then had to sit in the manager's seat, and he was like, "Right, so where are we going wrong?" And I was like, "What is?" They made me like the manager, and then I had got him. We were like talking tactics and that, but he was so good. And you couldn't get rid of him. I went to game and play FIFA, man. He was on the tactics board for about an hour, and I was like, "Oh my god, man!" You'd come out and you'd like Billy McKay not used to gut herself laughing. I'm like, "Can't get him." He'd just catch you and just talk about football, but what a guy.
And you
I've
never hear a
messaged
bad.
him.
So I was going to say, you never hear a bad word to hear about Yogi when people like open go on other podcasts. They all say, "What a guy, fucking love him."
That's what I was going to say. I've asked the big man to come on here a couple of times. And most people, well, no most people, but a lot of people just don't answer you. Some people say aye and that. He get back to you and it's as if he's known you for years now. He's like, nah, son, I'm the one at the podcast and all that. And I'm like, fucking hell, man. He just talks as a, he messages you just like how he is. Do you know what I mean? He must just be pure. That's him 24/7.
Aye, he's a legend.
Your time at Ross County unfortunately was short, but who was it you went after? You went to Kilmarnock, you went to Kilmarnock there with Derek McInnes. How was Derek McInnes as a manager and as a person? Was he as mad as Yogi?
Nah, it was Tommy Wright. It was Tommy Wright that signed me.
Or was it
He was mental. He was mental. I loved him and all. I actually didn't like him at the start, but at like the end I did like him. I felt bad for him because he put everything into it. It just wasn't working. It was working actually. I think we were top of the league, but it was just like it was just an air of like negativity about the club when I went. They always get relegated, and then I went there, and hindsight's a brilliant thing, but with my knees, it wasn't the best of moves, was it, going on that pitch every day? My missus at the time was, not at the time, she's still my missus, but she was pregnant. She made that one.
That'll know watch this.
She's sitting there with her. She's sitting there.
Just see every hand flying.
She was pregnant. I had the chance to go to Northampton, and I wish I went down. I wish I took it to go back down to England again. And it'd obviously been better for my knees as well. Went to Kelly. Obviously, we won the league and stuff, and I loved it. But I get injured literally like one of the first games. See the Betfred Cup games you play. We played Stranraer, and I remember playing a pass inside. And obviously, if you're having like 3 knee injuries before it and 3 operations, you just know when something goes. And I passed, and I just like felt something. I went, "Oh no, what was that?" My studs kind of get caught, and I was like, "That wasn't good." And then it was like sore after the game, but it wasn't too bad. But it was hindering me for then on in. I couldn't really move. But I just, because of my injury history and that as well, I was like, I always played through injuries, which was a daft thing. Looking back now again, I would have never have done it. But I played 6 months, and I was just like, basically one leg. What I'd done is I'd torn my meniscus like substantially, basically, which is like the kind of padding between your 2 bones and your leg, like so your shock absorber. A massive tear right across it. And it was just basically hanging on my thread. And then one day it was like pure anarchy. Nothing even happened. I was just training. And the next minute I couldn't walk. I was like, what? And it was obviously this knee. And one of my bones in my leg, my outside of the bone, you get 2 bones in the bottom of your leg. One of them was actually shifting when I extended my leg fully. It was moving. It was audible. So that was like the killer. That was the one that was like, you've no chance now. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know at the time as well, but I just thought, because meniscus, it's normally like just a wee tidy up. You take it out and you crack on. But that was the final nail in the coffin for me. It's like 8 knees left after that. And then obviously I managed to come back again, but I was miles off it, like miles. And that's when McInnes came in. So McInnes came in, and he'd known the previous me, and he was desperate to get me involved, and he put me in too early as well, and I was desperate to get involved, so I always wanted to play for him. Like, I had numerous conversations with him over the years, and I was like, I want to play for him, man. And I was just so far off it, it wasn't true. And then it started dawning on me, I was like, oofed. The thing that I had at Hibs previous, where I was like, I need to start doing something, I started studying and all the rest of it, all the other stuff to get put in place, but then I was like, right, I need to ramp this up. Because I'm not going to be about long.
Did you consider chucking it when you were at Kelly?
No, but shortly after, went to Queen's Park, and all intents and purposes, Owen Coyle signed me, who needs a mention. Obviously, I had him previous at Ross County. Because Jim McIntyre got sacked my first spell. He was probably most important for me in my career in terms of getting me to Peterborough. Like the self-belief in that installed in me. He was just a great guy, great guy. And he signed me for Queen's Park as well, because again, he said to me, like, I remember him saying on the phone, "Listen, Easy, if I can get you," I said to him, "I'm not the same, man." Like, I remember being on the phone to him. He says, "Listen, if I can get you 50% of what you were, son, you'll be unbelievable in this league." And I was like, "Aye, I agree, but we'll see." And I done pre-season and that in Holland, and I was just, there was players going by me and stuff that just wouldn't used to have done it. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I knew myself. I was like, well, like I can't move the same. I couldn't move the same. It's a shame, but it's like, it's reality. It's life, isn't it? And then I remember coming back for pre-season at Alloa. We played abroad. We beat FC20 actually with some result. And then we played Alloa, and I was warming up, and I was like, I'm done here, man. Like, I am shot. And I went in, and I was in tears now. I says to the physio at the time, I was like, I'm chucking it. He's like, what? And I says to Coyle, I was like, oh, and I'm chucking it. And then he managed to hang me around, and he was like, no, shut up. Don't. And he was like, take whatever you need, take your time. He was amazing with me. We'll get you back firing. But ended up my 6 month at Queen's Park, I was basically like the go between the, because he wanted me to go in as captain and stuff, and he couldn't make, there wasn't a club captain in, because he had me right for the start. I was basically out. I wasn't fully fit, and I couldn't ever get fully fit. But I was like probably a big influence in the change room, and they loved that. They loved me training, they loved my voice, loved my experience and the way I was. But they never go obviously get the best at me. But him and Sandy Stewart just loved me about the place as well, in terms of the experience I brought for the boys. But that was the end of it, basically.
You sort of caught in,
I don't know.
I was just to say, at Queen's Park, you sort of caught in two minds at that point, because, you know, you're a big leader in the dressing room, you know, you can motivate the young guys that are coming through, but also you wanted to still try and get back as well.
Spot on, mate. You're brilliant. That's spot on. But I loved it. I loved Queen's Park, and I was the most experienced player at that point then. And I just had a laugh with the boys, and I think they loved me as well. They didn't really want me to go, but there was still something in me, stupidly, that was like, because I felt as if I could still offer something at Queen's Park, but we're in a centre back role. But Owen just never seen me as a centre back. It's because he had me as a right back, running up and down. And I was like, do you know what? I'll move on. And end up, the part-time thing was a good thing, because I'd started a sports science degree, stuff like that. So other things were happening, and I thought, like, it's time to try something different, because I knew then I wasn't going to get back to the level I wanted to get to. And it was like being real with yourself as well. I didn't want to be one of the players that floated about forever, and do you know what I mean? And just kind of that part. I feel as if I've got more to offer that with my energy that I've got to now. So I was like, I just knew I had something more in me, do you know what I mean, than just be a training player, basically, and a voice in the training ground. So I started other avenues as well at that point.
What about Scotland, mate? Obviously, you did play for them at various levels, but is it disappointing that you didn't make that cap? And if it is, what kind of period of time do you think that you deserved one?
It was disappointing. I felt as if maybe at one point I was kind of there. I think the season I went, obviously, by Ross County, and I got a move to Peterborough. There was a guy got me a move, whoever it was like an analytics guy. He was brilliant for me. But he'd done like the stats. It was the start of all the stats and stuff. It was like 2017. You see like the heat maps and all that stuff. Like, and I think mine's was like identical to Tierney's at Celtic at the time with Rodgers Invincibles. So it was like mimicked with him in terms of, obviously I was a right back, he was a left back, so it was a right-sided player, the exact same kind of stats as him that season. And like that's when people started going like, who's he? Plays with Ross County. How's he get the kind of expected assists? Like, I think it was at least dribble by defender or something in the league, all that stuff. So people then start to just out of this guy done an article. I don't even know who it was. I still to this day owe my pint. But it's in the Daily Record, and then the next minute your phone starts going. But I think then I could have been in with a shout. Do you know what I mean? Of being involved. I think actually it was Zone Coyle actually pulled me in saying, "Listen, I can't remember who the manager was at the time, but you're like named in a provisional squad or whatever before they actually name the squad." And I was like shaking myself. I was like, "No way, like Scotland!" But it never turned out. And that's life again, isn't it? That's the way it was. But it's obviously I'd played for them all the way through, and it'd have been a brilliant honour.
Who was the Scotland youth team at that time that was coming through?
In terms of players,
aye.
So my 21s team, I think I only played once with 21s, but like Lewis McLeod, remember Lewis McLeod at Rangers?
Aye.
Again, injuries done him in. Barry Mackay, Christie, Ryan Christie, Gold, then McGinn in that 21s. Obviously, McGinn, I think McGinn never played with Scotland Youth until like 21s. It just shows you, do you know what I mean? Like McGinn should be in. I think Lord Doon as well. I think a lot of it's to do with your face fitting. Maybe at that time, maybe no now, but there was loads of Celtic and Rangers boys getting picked, and but I managed to get in. Obviously, I played all the way through. It was good. I loved it. I'm trying to think of other players that was my age. Liam Polworth, he was a joke. He was good when he was younger. Foley, ended up playing with him at Kelly. Jack Grimmer. Who else was there? Trying to think. It's crazy because all these boys that play with Scotland and that, it's not always set in stone. Do you know what I mean? That there's going to be stuff happens obviously as well. But we had a really good group. Even the Scottish boys and that was brilliant. It was brilliant going away to places.
Do you feel? Sorry, down you go.
Sorry, on you go, mate. On you go.
I was just going to say, do you feel that the lower clubs in the Scottish Premier League and stuff like that, should they get more of a shout to be in the Scotland squads than just say somebody that's got a Scottish grander?
I think it's all. I don't know. I always think that with Scotland. I've thought it for years, but like I remember like going back years and years and years. Right, Chris Boyd was actually like the top goal scorer in the league when he was at Kelly. And he was like, I don't know what age he was, like 32 or whatever, 33. But he was probably still the best Scottish striker. Because we were playing against him at the time, do you know what I mean? And you're thinking, like, if that's Italy, like Luca Toni, it doesn't matter if he was like at Torino or anywhere like that, he's getting in their squad. Whereas I think it always goes off politics and like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I know people would say, oh, that's backwards getting, but you pick your best players. It doesn't matter what club you played for. If Boyd played with Rangers at the time, he'd have been in the Scotland squad. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what age he would have been. Like, so that in terms of clubs, I think it's definitely a thing in Scotland. I think there's sometimes a snobbery looking at boys that play with kind of lower end, maybe Scottish Premier League teams because they're good players. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes even to get a call up and then get them used to that maybe level. I don't know. There's boys better equipped to talk about it in terms of experience, but to give them the experience and then right, this is what it's like at international level. Like I think it happens all the time, doesn't it? But boys get a move somewhere and then they're in the Scotland squad. Do you know what I mean?
Automatically.
Offer just because they play with a certain club, which can help as well because you're playing with a bigger club and it's a more pressured environment playing with a bigger club, which helps you then obviously with the Scotland thing. But aye, definitely.
I think the perfect example since we're talking about this is actually, Simon Murray when he was at Ross County, the amount of goals he scored that season. He still went to the Euros instead of that boy Conway who scored a couple of goals down in England gets in. It's only because he was playing at that level, wasn't it?
Well, I agree. I think you take and I think there's a stigma about it. It's Simon Murray. He was in the second division 2 years ago with Queen's Park. Doesn't matter. He's banging in goals in the top league against Celtic, Rangers, everybody. I agree.
Mate, we like to do this at the end of every podcast. I'm actually really interested in this one because you played with a lot of good players. If you were a coach of a five-a-side team of all the players that you've played alongside, who's the 5 you're picking, mate?
Goalie. I need a goalie then, man. I can't play without a goalie.
Goalie, aye.
Probably be Marion Kello in goals. Played with him at St Mirren. He was a joke. Or
That's the second pick for him, isn't it?
Aye.
he was so good, man. He
Yeah,
done
Temple picked him, I think.
some of the saves he made, by the way, were a joke. Like, they looked impossible at times. But Ophir Marciano as well at Hibs, he was good. Big Israeli goalie. He was really good.
Made a couple of goals, but
aye, I'd probably go Kello. He was mental as well. It's actually funny. I've got a good story about him and all. Who else? McGinn. Go Ben White. I played with Ben White at Peterborough, right? I think it was his best when he was there, but obviously the career he said, you can't begrudge him playing as a defender on my team, so I'll say Ben White.
hates football, but doesn't he?
Aye, he's a weirdo, man. He's a weirdo. He actually doesn't like football. Kenny McLean will be in there. Kenny's like definitely the most underrated player ever. Unbelievable. He will only be appreciated if you play with him. And Ivan Toney up front.
Decent.
That
was decent.
That my young boys now that I take obviously a performance kind of place, do all the physical stuff for them, plyometrics or the rest of it to get them faster, stronger, whatever, because nobody really does that side of it. And nobody knows that I played football. So I'll just name drop all the boys. I'll be like, I played with them, by the way.
Nah, mate, you're a legend within your own right in Scottish football. These boys don't know you, they don't know what I'm talking about. Aye, so what's your plans for the future, Jason? Are you hoping to get into management maybe one day, hopefully?
Don't know. No, it's not really. I'm going to do my coaching badges, definitely. I feel as if I could maybe add stuff. So I've got loads of energy to burn. But as I said, now I've got my own kind of private gym. I've just stumbled across, as I said, taking kind of performance side of it for kids. Take a lot of kids for like Celtic right down to Glennie Thistle and Paisley. Do you know what I mean? Do a bit of technical work, do basically train like a professional. And I've had a lot of good results out of that. And it's touch wood, it's been really busy, and the kids love it. That PT injury side of it as well. So I tried to. I said it goes back to your injuries, but you could have sat there and kind of wallowed in self pity. Who said that? The Grinch? Is that the Grinch that said that? Wallow in self pity. But I was like, I wanted to make a kind of a positive, you know what I mean, for the negative. And one thing I took from my career is how to rehab properly injuries, you know what I mean, properly. So I've had a lot of boys in with injuries, even junior players, stuff like that don't probably get the best of care. And I've had a few people back already in terms of ACLs or back playing football. Because it's one thing I was so grateful to my physios and sports scientists and stuff that at club level getting me back. So I wanted to be the other side of that now and helping people, whether it's personal training, injury rehab, or the performance side that I'm doing now with the kids. I love it. I get merry a buzz out of that now. That's why I've stopped playing football. I get merry a buzz out of that. Like a kid coming in, and I take a boy for St Mirren and a young girl for Rangers, Abby and Ben Stoddart. Both of them get called up to Scotland under-17s for respective teams, and I get merry a buzz out of that now because it takes me back 12, 15 years to that happening to me, and I can pass on them my experience as well. What to do, what not to do, mainly what not to do. Do you know what I mean? Because stuff in my career that I regret and I wish I'd done more of. So it's good for me to pass that experience on to all these kids now and people that are in the academies. And as I spoke about earlier, dealing with the blows. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, my manager's not picking me. The amount of boys I come in now, 16, 17, manager's not picking me, and I think about leaving. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, go and train as hard as you can, and then they'll come in a week later. Oh, manager loves me again. I says, I told you, just train the way you can. And I think Wenger, I show this clip to all my kids. Like Arsene Wenger done a clip, and it was they done a study in terms of how many people are still involved in football for elite academies for the age of 18. That's like 20% or something. It's mental, and that's for the top clubs in Europe. And he says, like, the main study was found that it's the players that can outlast the other ones, basically. so they can take the most mental blows. Oh, you're not playing this week. Oh, you're in with the reserves this week. Oh, you're training with under 17s. And they're the ones that outlast. I keep saying this to all my boys and girls. I'm like, you don't need to be the best. You just need to outlast every day. You need to outwork every day. So it's went well, and it's good to give that kind of advice over to them. I'm doing a sports science degree as well. So see, to be honest, I've no time to. I don't even get time to wipe my backside in it, to be honest. Coaching can come next. Once McGinn retires, he can get me a job, surely, yeah?
He's your assistant.
Aye. And then I'll be his assistant, and then he can sack me right away, and I'll get a pay up.
I want to tell you, but like, see, I reckon it's practically every single player. I reckon it's practically every single player that we've spoke to, you know, who's made it to the level that you've made it to, have you know, they've had setbacks, they've had knockbacks, they've had, whether it's injury, managers telling them they're 2B, managers telling them they're not quick enough. And honestly, it's just so true, mate, what you're saying about, like, you know, the resilience thing and all that. So that's why I hope guys like yourself, mate, they stay in the game and can pass that on to young guys, you know what I mean? And women.
Well, as I said, I'm loving it now. If I ever get into a coaching capacity, it'll probably be youth football. As I said, my passion's off for kind of helping boys and girls now just progress on, because it's like I've still got that fire in the belly that I can see them, that they've got it. It's still fresh in my memory. Do you know what I mean? Being them, honestly, it feels like yesterday. I can still remember days vividly, cleaning boots not at St Mirren. Do you know what I mean? I can genuinely remember like certain days. So it's good to pass on, and then they give you energy as well. Do you know what I mean? So I've loved that.
Jason, you scored quite a few goals. The one that always springs to mind, I think it was against Motherwell for St Mirren. For like the weirdest angle ever. I mean, what was going through your head at that moment?
It's good. I'm going to go in, but don't give up, because it was Malin, wasn't it? It shanked a ball, and it was basically out, and I'd slid, and then it somehow went in. But just never give up any ball, really. I've not showed that one to any of my boys. I normally show the one for 40 yards against St Johnstone, because they all say that I'm shite now. But I still beat them at 2 touch and heated tennis as well, so they've still got a way to go, all the boys. But I like scoring goals, amazing, isn't it? Scoring goals, amazing. But it was actually like that there again. There's vivid memories you remember for your career. Like the first one, McGinn set me up against Dundee United. That was my first ever goal. I still remember that. Like I remember that full feeling I seen the stand and him run out in the 2 celebrating. Like you just things you do. That's what you work hard for. This is what I tell all the young boys as well. That is what you work hard for. Like the moments that will just stick with me forever now.
Definitely, mate. I'm going to go check out the goals after this. But Jason, really appreciate your time, mate. I'm glad that you're enjoying what you're doing with your life now, mate. And whatever you plan to do in the future, I hope you smash it, buddy. And all the best to you.
Appreciate it. Cheers,
everybody. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.